the dimly lit expanse of the eerie Ravensbrook, Detective James Holloway stood as a beacon of unwavering resolve, a paragon of fearlessness in the realm of crime-solving. Yet, even the bravest souls have their thresholds, and Holloway was on the precipice of his in this small, mystifying town. Ravensbrook, draped in an eternal shroud of mist, a nebulous tapestry that voraciously devoured the sun's feeble attempts to pierce through. A call beckoned Holloway into this enigmatic abyss, a missing person case initially masquerading as routine. Driving through the sinuous roads, the oppressive ambience constricted around him like an unseen malevolence. As he arrived, the distraught family awaited, their anxiety palpable. Emily, a young woman, vanished near the decaying Ravensbrook Asylum, a place steeped in ghastly lore of experiments gone astray. Undaunted, Holloway ventured into the dilapidated structure, the aged floorboards groaning beneath his weight, a haunting chorus to his solitary odyssey. The air within thickened with an otherworld resonance. Delving further, the asylum's corridors pulsated with long-buried secrets, the very walls seemingly alive with forgotten narratives. Abruptly, the silence was sundered. A child's unsettling laughter reverberated through the labyrinthine halls, a disconcerting symphony. Pursuing the spectral echoes, flashlight flickering in tandem with mounting disquiet, Holloway was led to a shadow-draped room. Within, an antiquated music box emitted a spectral melody, the origin of the disquieting laughter. Approaching it, the room plunged into obscurity, illuminated solely by the malevolent glow of the music box. Just as his hand extended to investigate, the room erupted with ghostly murmurs. Shadows waltzed on the walls, morphing into grotesque forms, whispering ancient enigmas. The air congealed, an unseen force enveloping Holloway. Desperation seized him as he realized solitude had abandoned him. A spectral figure materialized, adorned in the uniform of a bygone police officer. Its hollow gaze penetrated Holloway's essence, an otherworldly voice resonating with sinister frigidity. "Ravensbrook demands justice," it intoned, an icy breath snaking down Holloway's spine. "Accusatory," the figure pointed, the room echoing with tormented wails. Struggling to retain composure, Holloway recoiled, fleeing the stifling room. Exiting the asylum, the mist encroached, whispering the sins of Ravensbrook's past. The once assured detective departed with a haunted visage, forever altered by the ethereal encounter with the phantom officer and the malevolent secrets that lingered, spectral and unseen, in the shadows of Ravensbrook. In the obscure, deceptively tranquil enclave known as Ravenswood, cocooned amidst primeval woodlands and mist-laden moors, an insidious undercurrent remained clandestine. Officer Samuel Blackwood, a taciturn and weathered lawman, had treaded the enigmatic thoroughfares for epochs. He embodied reticence, eyes that bore an intensity seemingly capable of penetrating the very fabric of obscurity. Ravenswood harbored a murk-laden chronicle, veiled in narratives of sorcery, unresolved vanishings, and uncanny occurrences. Officer Blackwood was intimately acquainted with the frigid murmurs that reverberated through desolate alleyways, where zephyrs carried the lamentations of forsaken souls. On a pivotal night, an impenetrable fog descended upon Ravenswood, cloaking the township in an ethereal haze. Officer Blackwood received a distress summons from the town's periphery, where a dilapidated manor loomed, ensconced in the contorted clasp of ancient arboreal confines. Whispers circulated about the mansion being haunted. ensnared by malevolent spirits of those whose demise unfolded gruesomely within its walls. With reluctance, Officer Blackwood steered his patrol vehicle through serpentine, fog-shrouded thoroughfares leading to the ominous manor. Approaching, the air thickened with a stifling malevolence, and the temperature plummeted, an icy grip sending tremors down his spine. The manor stood before him, windows fractured and shattered, casting eerie shadows akin to specters pirouetting on the walls. Officer Blackwood, with cautious steps, entered, his flashlight carving through the dark akin to a frail beacon of optimism. The floorboards beneath his weighty boots creaked, resonating like spectral whispers. Venturing deeper into the manor's core, the air grew more frigid and cryptic symbols adorned the walls. Otherworldly moans reverberated through the corridors, inducing trepidation in the bravest of hearts. Officer Blackwood's senses were heightened, every nerve pulsating with an eerie anticipation. In a chamber long forgotten, he stumbled upon a dilapidated altar surrounded by wavering candles. An otherworldly energy pulsated in the room. Grotesque paintings adorned the walls, depicting scenes of unspeakable horror. Abruptly, a voice permeated the chamber, a guttural chant oozing from the very walls. In a trance, Officer Blackwood felt an imperceptible force pulling him towards the altar. His surroundings blurred, the air thickened with a malevolent presence. The room twisted and distorted, unveiling glimpses of a nightmarish dimension beyond. As the ritual climaxed, a ghastly figure materialized, a spectral entity with vacant eyes that bore into Officer Blackwood's essence. It spoke in a voice emanating from the abyss, recounting the town's darkest secrets, its malevolent history, and the sins staining Ravenswood for centuries. The spectral entity unveiled itself as the embodiment of the town's cursed past. Officer Blackwood, unwittingly entwined in supernatural forces, became the unwitting conduit for the entity's nefarious design. Ravenswood's malevolence fused with him, transforming him into a harbinger of doom. Henceforth, Officer Blackwood patrolled the town with an otherworldly aura. His once penetrating eyes now glowed with an unholy luminescence. Ravenswood, once serene, morphed into a domain of perpetual darkness, where the demarcation between the living and the departed blurred. Ravenswood metamorphosed into a phantasmal nightmare, a township haunted not solely by its history, but also by the spectral apparition now intermingling with the living. Officer Samuel Blackwood, erstwhile guardian of the law, transmogrified into a nightmarish enforcer of the town's curse, guaranteeing that the malevolent forces entrenched in its shadows would never find repose. The fog-laden streets resounded with the portentous cadence of his footsteps, and the populace quivered in dread, cognizant that genuine darkness had seized their hitherto tranquil abode. Detective John Harris, a stalwart guardian of justice with a reputation for unwavering composure, found his unshakable resolve tested in the chilling, moonlit enclave of Ravenswood. The tranquility of this once sleepy town was shattered by a macabre series of murders, each victim bearing the grotesque signature of eyes gouged out, a sinister motif that sent shockwaves through the community. As the body count mounted, so did the whispers of an ominous force weaving through the fabric of law enforcement. John, the resolute detective, plunged headlong into the investigation, a commitment that concealed the subtle tendrils of fear winding their way into his psyche. Amid the murky precinct, bathed in an eerie glow, he pored over case files and crime scene snapshots, his determination cloaked in the ominous shadows. The air inside the precinct became laden with an almost palpable tension, and a sudden chill permeated the room, prompting furtive glances over John's shoulder. Shadows morphed into grotesque forms on the walls, an unsettling dance that seemed to mimic his every move. An ominous creak reverberated through deserted corridors, setting the fine hairs on John's neck at attention. The shrill ring of the phone shattered the eerie silence, and John's hand trembled as it reached for the receiver. A guttural whisper, dripping with malevolence, emanated from the other end, divulging details only the killer could possess. Panic gripped him as the sinister truth unfolded. The murderer, a spectral puppeteer, was orchestrating a deadly symphony, forever one step ahead. Tormented by relentless calls, John's nights dissolved into a kaleidoscope of sleepless agony. The familiar walls of his home seemed to constrict, suffocating him under the weight of an unseen presence. He would awaken in cold sweats, convinced that phantom footsteps echoed through the hallway, an impending specter growing closer with each passing night. Amid the investigation's progression, John unraveled a chilling pattern. The victims were entwined with a long-buried case that had scarred him years ago. The revelation struck with the force of a lightning bolt. A vengeful spirit, seeking retribution for sins shrouded in the shadows, had risen from the depths of injustice. Whispers in the town spoke of a cursed entity, labeled the Wraith, preying on those who betrayed the oath of justice. A malevolent force, lurking in the darkness, feasting on the fear of its victims, whispered into the ears of the townsfolk. As John delved into Ravenswood's occult history, he became ensnared in a web of supernatural horror, defying the bounds of reason. Closer to the truth, the Wraith's torment intensified. John's reflection in the mirror twisted into a sinister grin, and whispers echoed through precinct corridors, revealing secrets long buried. Reality and nightmare blurred, and sanity teetered on the precipice of an abyss. Desperation gripped John, leading him to the town's enigmatic recluse, a figure rumored to hold the key to banishing the Wraith. Guided by cryptic clues and haunted by phantoms of his past, he embarked on a harrowing journey through Ravenswood's decaying underbelly. The climax loomed as John confronted the Wraith in a desolate graveyard, the moon casting an ominous glow on skeletal trees. The air crackled with malevolence as the vengeful spirit materialized, eyes ablaze with otherworldly rage. A spectral wind whispered accusations, and the ground trembled under the weight of long-buried sins. In a final, desperate struggle, John confronted the demons of his past, facing the darkness within himself. The graveyard echoed with the screams of tormented souls as the Wraith, stripped of its power, dissipated into the shadows. Ravenswood sighed in collective relief as dawn broke. But the scars on John Harris served as a testament to the horrors witnessed that fateful night. Ravenswood returned to its placid exterior, yet the tale of Detective John Harris and the Wraith morphed into a cautionary legend, exchanged in hushed tones in precinct shadows. The townsfolk learned to tread lightly, recognizing that in the stillness of the night, the boundary between the living and the dead could fray thinner than they dared to fathom. As for John, patrolling the quiet streets with vigilant eyes, the ghosts of his past remained, a perpetual reminder that some nightmares never truly find their end. In the obscure enclave known as Blackridge, ensconced within the impenetrable depths of the eerie, forbidding woods, Officer Samuel Carter undertook the solemn duty of patrolling the desolate thoroughfares, besieged by an uneasy disquiet. Blackridge, a local where shadows persistently clung to the recesses of dilapidated edifices, exuded an atmosphere thick with an ancient malevolence seemingly emanating from the very bowels of the earth. Samuel, a seasoned law enforcement official adorned with a stoicism that belied his inner turmoil, had weathered an array of ghastly experiences during his tenure in the police force. Yet, nothing in his past could have adequately equipped him for the sinister enigma that lay concealed in the heart of Blackridge. In hushed tones, the denizens of Blackridge exchanged furtive whispers regarding the legend of the Darkwalker, an ominous entity purported to prowl the nocturnal streets, preying upon the unsuspecting and leaving in its wake a trail of indescribable horrors. The lore surrounding the Darkwalker spanned a spectrum of speculative tales, with some ascribing its nature to that of a vengeful spirit, while others subscribed to the belief that it was a soul condemned to eternal torment. Samuel, a pragmatist entrenched in the bastion of logic, dismissed such narratives as mere byproducts of hyperactive imaginations. However, destiny unfolded on one fateful night, as Samuel received a distress call that catapulted him headlong into the abyss of Blackridge's darkness. The frantic timbre of a voice on the other end of the radio, laced with fear, relayed accounts of peculiar phenomena transpiring at the abandoned mansion on the outskirts of town. The dilapidated structure, steeped in rumors of spectral apparitions and inexplicable vanishings, now harbored an aura of malevolence, more foreboding than ever. Approaching the mansion, a frigid shiver coursed down Samuel's spine, and the familiar symphony of nocturnal sounds hushed in anticipatory silence. The air thickened with an unnatural stillness as he gingerly traversed the mansion's entrance, his flashlight's erratic beam casting an eerie dance upon the peeling wallpaper, revealing faded portraits fixated on his every movement with vacant gazes. Venturing deeper into the twisted labyrinth of the mansion's corridors, Samuel's senses heightened, burdened by an oppressive force. Unearthly whispers reverberated through the encroaching darkness, and with every step, the air grew colder. Shadows, grotesque in form, cavorted on the walls, as if beckoning with ethereal appendages. Within a dimly lit room, Samuel stumbled upon a tableau that congealed his veins with icy terror. An arcane symbol adorned the floor, bathed in an otherworldly luminescence, and at its epicenter stood a figure shrouded in tattered robes. The Darkwalker had been summoned, its malevolent presence instigating palpable shudders within Samuel's core. With a guttural growl, the Darkwalker fixated its hollow eyes upon Samuel. Time itself seemed to suspend as the creature locked onto him, and the air resonated with malevolence. Driven by primal instinct, Samuel drew his firearm and discharged shots that reverberated through the mansion like thunder. The bullets traversed the Darkwalker, leaving no trace, and a haunting laughter permeated the room. Samuel's heart raced as the entity advanced, its form morphing with each step. In a desperate bid for survival, Samuel fled through meandering corridors, the echoes of the Darkwalker's pursuit doggedly shadowing him. Erupting into the moonlit night, Samuel navigated the overgrown mansion grounds, his breath ragged, heart pounding. The shadows, animated and sentient, seemed to elongate and contort, reaching out as if eager to ensnare him. In the distance, the mansion loomed, a malevolent specter radiating an otherworldly glow. With each passing moment, the grip of the Darkwalker constricted around Samuel's soul. Whispers insinuated torment and eternal suffering. The once familiar Blackridge metamorphosed into a nightmarish tableau, its twisted avenues and desolate lanes now the stomping grounds of an ancient malevolent. Days bled into interminable nights as Samuel evaded the relentless pursuit of the Darkwalker. Sleep became an elusive commodity, and the demarcation between reality and nightmare blurred into a surreal tapestry of horror. Unbeknownst to the oblivious townsfolk who continued their lives, Blackridge had become a crucible of nightmarish proportions. Haunted and tormented, Samuel assumed a spectral visage, a mere echo of the man he once was. The ceaseless pursuit of the Darkwalker eroded his sanity, transforming the once resolute policeman into a mere fragment, teetering on the precipice of madness. He became a captive, ensnared in Blackridge's nightmarish clutches. As the townsfolk sensed the burgeoning disquiet, fearful whispers resurfaced. Tales of the haunted policeman, unwittingly ensnared by malevolence, propagated like wildfire. The once isolated town teetered on the brink of an unimaginable abyss, and the Darkwalker reveled in the pandemonium it had unleashed. The saga of Officer Samuel Carter and the malevolent force that gripped Blackridge disseminated, entwining itself with the tendrils of darkness. The town metamorphosed into a nexus of the macabre, attracting those drawn to the enigmas hidden in shadows. The accursed mansion, now a forsaken testament to despair, beckoned to those daring or foolhardy enough to confront the unspeakable evil that had taken root. And so, the cycle perpetuated a ceaseless nightmare, gripping the souls of those venturing into Blackridge's heart. The erstwhile quiet town became a spectral battleground, where forces of light and darkness clashed, with Officer Samuel Carter ensnared in an eternal struggle for his sanity and the redemption of his tormented soul.
In the sleepy town of Blackwood, a haunting past lurked beneath the surface of its idyllic facade. Over a century ago, a wicked soul named Silas Greystone terrorized the community. His gruesome reign of terror ended when he was captured and hanged for his heinous crimes, but his malevolent spirit never truly departed. It was a dark and stormy night when the chilling whispers of Silas Greystone's restless spirit began to echo through the streets once more. A series of murders commenced, each victim chosen randomly but marked by a gruesome signature, their faces mutilated beyond recognition. As the body count increased, panic spread like wildfire throughout Blackwood. The townsfolk locked their doors and windows, yet Silas seemed to slip through the shadows like an ethereal specter, leaving no trace of his presence. In the face of terror, the town called upon a seasoned investigator, Detective Robert Harrison. With a troubled past of his own, Harrison was known for his relentless pursuit of justice and unyielding determination. As he delved deeper into the chilling case, he found himself haunted by the ever-present whispers of the malevolent spirit. At each crime scene, Harrison discovered obscure symbols etched into the walls, cryptic messages left behind by the sinister entity. These symbols led him to an old, abandoned mansion on the outskirts of town, the same dwelling where Silas Greystone once lived. As the storm raged on, Detective Harrison ventured into the decaying mansion, its creaking floorboards and foreboding aura testifying to its dark history. Armed with a flashlight and a heart pounding with dread, he stepped further into the labyrinthine horrors that awaited. Within the dilapidated mansion, Harrison found eerie drawings on the walls, depicting the grotesque murders. Silas' malevolent presence grew stronger, pushing the detective to the brink of madness. Each step he took seemed to lead deeper into the clutches of the malevolent spirit. As Harrison pressed on, he unearthed the truth behind Silas Greystone's wicked past. The serial killer was once a charismatic preacher, but a sinister darkness consumed him, leading him down a path of unspeakable atrocities. Silas had formed a cult in secret, performing gruesome rituals to appease dark entities. In a twisted bid for immortality, he sought to unleash an ancient curse upon the town, ensuring his presence would haunt Blackwood for eternity. Harrison realized that he needed to confront Silas' spirit head-on to stop the relentless killings. Armed with ancient artifacts and the knowledge of the cult's dark rituals, he performed a dangerous exorcism, attempting to banish the malevolent spirit once and for all. The nightmarish battle ensued within the crumbling mansion, as reality and the supernatural collided. Harrison fought against the vengeful spirit, every moment testing his resolve and sanity. As the final confrontation approached, the storm outside intensified, unleashing torrential rains and thunderous roars. Within the mansion, the forces of darkness seemed to converge upon Harrison, trying to snuff out his light. In an act of desperation, Harrison used the last of his strength to perform the exorcism. He recited ancient incantations, clashing with Scylla's haunting whispers. At the brink of exhaustion, the malevolent spirit's grip weakened. In a burst of blinding light, Scylla's malevolent spirit was vanquished. Harrison collapsed, drained both physically and emotionally. The ancient curse was lifted, and the town of Blackwood was freed from the clutches of the serial killer's haunting past. In the wake of the storm, the town began to heal, but the memories of the horrific events would forever linger. Detective Robert Harrison became a legend, a hero who had faced the darkness and emerged victorious. The mansion, once a den of evil, was left abandoned, a grim reminder of the horrors that had transpired within its walls. And though the evil spirit was gone, whispers of Silas Greystone's reign continued to echo through the darkest corners of Blackwood. The tale of the serial killer and the brave detective would become a chilling legend passed down through generations, a reminder to never forget the shadows of the slaughter that once haunted their town. And so the darkness lay dormant, biding its time, waiting for another stormy night. In the heart of America, a chilling darkness lurked beneath the tranquil surface. As autumn settled in, bringing with it a cool mist that veiled the streets, a series of gruesome murders began to terrify the once peaceful community. The locals whispered of a sinister figure known only as the Shadowed Pursuit, a cunning serial killer who struck fear into the hearts of all who crossed their path. The first victim, a young woman named Emily, was found near the edge of the woods, her lifeless body bound in a grotesque display. Fear gripped Ravenbrook like a vice, as rumors of the sinister figure spread through the town like wildfire. Detective Alex Turner, a seasoned investigator haunted by his own demons, was assigned to the case. As the bodies continued to pile up, he realized that the killer seemed to strike with a disturbing precision, always leaving a signature mark on their victims, a chilling symbol etched into their flesh with cold precision. With each gruesome discovery, the Shadowed Pursuit became bolder, taunting the police with cryptic messages left at the crime scenes. The town's once comforting ambience turned suffocating, and residents barricaded themselves behind locked doors as darkness fell. As the investigation intensified, Detective Turner was forced to confront the dark corners of his own psyche, haunted by a tragic loss from his past. Determined to unravel the enigma behind the Shadowed Pursuit, he delved into the abyss of the killer's twisted mind, studying the cryptic messages for clues. One gloomy night, a storm howled through Ravenbrook, casting eerie shadows that danced along the deserted streets. A witness came forward, trembling with fear, recounting a chilling encounter. A dark figure had stalked them from the shadows, their malevolent eyes gleaming in the darkness. The townspeople now feared venturing outside, unsure who among them could be the next target. Detective Turner's pursuit of the killer led him into a labyrinth of secrets and lies. Suspects emerged from the shadows, casting doubt on the innocence of those once trusted. He tirelessly questioned each lead, determined to stop the madness that gripped Ravenbrook. The investigation took a toll on the entire town, its once tightly knit community unraveling under the weight of fear and suspicion. In the midst of chaos, Detective Turner found an unexpected ally in Jane, a brave journalist determined to uncover the truth. Together, they discovered a haunting pattern that connected the victims, a shared past that ran deep and held dark secrets. As the puzzle pieces fell into place, they found themselves entangled in the twisted web of the Shadowed Pursuit. The serial killer's trail grew colder, as if they could anticipate every move the investigators made. It became evident that the Shadowed Pursuit was always one step ahead, watching from the shadows, playing a dangerous game with those pursuing them. The climax neared as the night of Halloween approached. It seemed the killer was saving their most horrifying act for this ominous night. The town's dread intensified, wondering who would be their macabre offering to the malevolent entity stalking their streets. As the final confrontation loomed, Detective Turner faced his darkest fears and summoned every ounce of strength to protect the town and unmask the killer's true identity. The revelation would be more shocking than anyone could have imagined, shaking Ravenbrook to its core. In a harrowing showdown that would decide the fate of the town, the Shadowed Pursuit's reign of terror would meet its ultimate reckoning. The night was filled with suspense, tension, and an eerie stillness as the moonlight painted the streets in silver. Ravenbrook would never be the same again, scarred by the horrors that had unfolded in its midst. The shadows that once concealed the darkness now seemed to whisper the tale of the sinister figure forever etched into the town's history. And so the story of the Shadowed Pursuit would echo through time, serving as a grim reminder that evil could lurk anywhere, even in the most unsuspecting of places, and that in the face of darkness, true courage was the only light that could prevail.